They were human beings and they needed help. I'm glad I found the strength to make the decision to give it to them. Chiune Sugihara, Counterfeiting History to Rewrite the Future.
Even in the dark times of World War II, one Japanese diplomat would not emotionally succumb to the fear and danger of the time. Showing the traits and rewards for bravery, Chiune Sugihara rebelled against his country for the greater good, eventually earning his rightful place in the timeline of humanity, if not in history itself. After Germany attacked and conquered Poland in 1939, the Nazis pressed their attacks all throughout Europe. In Poland, Hitler's troops immediately began slaughtering thousands upon thousands of Jews. After the invasion, the Jews realized they had to flee. Many Polish Jews fled to Lithuania, a neighboring country with a population of 250,000 Jewish people.
So in Poland, when they invade, they begin to slowly round up Jews. In some cases, they're doing some executions of Jews, but in most cases, they're rounding them up and putting them into ghettos around the country. And the Jews are fleeing. So in 1939, you get a large movement of Jews, refugees. So in 1939, we get a refugee problem with many Jews trying to leave Poland, and one of the places they leave is Lithuania. They take that trek, they go by foot, and they end up in Lithuania in the city of Kaunas.
They were accepted there and were given everything they needed. There was prosperity in Lithuania for all of the Jewish, but then it all changed. Chiune Sugihara was born on January 1st, 1900, the first day of a new century, a century of both prosperity and destruction. Sugihara, child of Mitsugoro Sugihara and Yatsu Sugihara, showed the true qualities of a hero from an early age, caring for those in need. When Chiune was 10 years old, his father moved to Japanese Korea. He never came back home. Many miles away, Chiune's father decided his son should become a doctor. Chiune realized he didn't want this occupation, making an argument that would last for years. Chiune's high school graduation soured when he was forced to go take a medical exam to apply for a university. Though he was one of the top students in his class, he purposely failed. Chiune's father was furious and cut off Chiune's allowance. In 1918, Chiune was looking for a college in the future. He enrolled at Waseda University against his father's wishes. However, he could not support himself and dropped out months later. Sugihara was just one man in a world of confusion with no place to call home. Sugihara may have stayed this way if he didn't find an offer to study at Harbin, China for the Japanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He chose Russian as his language of specialty and qualified for the school. Chiune began to work for the Japanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs. While he still kept some Japanese values, Russian became more important to him, and he soon converted to the Russian Orthodoxy. While in China, Chiune met Yukiko Kikuchi, and they were happily married in 1935. Together, they had 4 children and traveled from place to place for the Japanese government. In 1939, Chiune was posted in Kaunas, Lithuania. There, he opened the consul as a representative of Japan. Sugihara came just as more and more refugees flooded the area, and they were supported by the Lithuanian Jews. The refugees had found a home. After the Soviet Union annexed Lithuania in 1940, the Jews realized their safe haven was not going to last much longer. The Jewish people quickly searched for a way to free themselves from the hands of the Nazis. However, under Soviet rule, they needed a transit visa to leave the country. Many Jews traveled to a Dutch colony, Curacao, because they needed no entry visa to enter, but they still needed a transit visa to stop in Japan. This was a huge problem. On one fateful summer day in 1940, a Jewish man came into his consul asking for a transit visa. Little did Chiune know, this man would be the first of thousands to come. The man had no money or passports. He simply told Chiune he was in dire need and had to leave soon. The Jewish man did not follow the requirements and also could not afford the visa. Even so, Chiune agreed. Not long after, Chiune woke up in his consulate to find hundreds of Jewish people standing outside on the fences. The Jews had gained Sugihara's pity, so he sent 3 telegrams to the headquarters of the foreign ministry. They sent back the same heartbreaking message every single time. He could not issue visas. Sugihara knew disobeying his government would lead to consequences.
The risk was multiple. I mean, he was going clearly against the Japanese government at that point. You need to understand that the Japanese were allies of the Germans. So at any moment, he could have been picked up by the German government. The Japanese could have been in concert. They could have picked him up, taken him away. Death was not an impossibility. I mean, he could have been killed for what he was doing at that time. And, the other piece was his family was there. He was there with his wife. Harm could have come to her, to his family. as well as to himself. So he was under great risk.
The crowd continued to grow and wait. Yukiko and the children encouraged him to help, but he fought the battle for weeks. Finally, on July 31st, Chiune made his decision. He would give transit visas to every single person that needed one. Chiune's consulate wrote visas day after day, scribbling out hundreds per week. However, it always seemed that there were thousands more outside the consulate. Chiune realized he didn't have much more time. The Soviet Union was shutting down every single consulate but their own, and the Japanese government demanded that he shut his consulate down too. Chiune requested an extension from the Soviet Union, but they only said that they would consider it. Chiune still went hard at work. In mid-August, Chiune Sugihara got permission from the government to remain open until August 28th. Chiune Sugihara suffered because of overworking, but he still persevered. He still defied his government. He would later reflect on this time by saying,
I may have disobeyed my government, but if I didn't, I'd be disobeying God.
On August 28th, Chiune Sugihara closed down his consulate. The Sugiharas went on their way, but at the hotel, the platform, and on the train itself, more and more refugees asked for the life-saving transit visas. Chiune Sugihara wrote them all, and even filled out more on the train, throwing visas out the window for those who needed them. He eventually passed the stamp on, and told people to continue his job. Jews who obtained the transit visas were able to cross the Soviet Union. There, many bartered passage across the country and sailed to Japan. About 6,000 Sugihara survivors eventually made it to Japan, where they stayed until the end of the war. Chiune Sugihara and his family returned to Tokyo, a bombed-out wasteland for reassignment. Chiune went to the foreign ministry, but there, they asked him for a list of the people he issued visas to. Much to the government's dismay, Chiune Sugihara pulled out a list of 2,139 family visas. Sugihara was told to resign, and he did so with a heavy heart. Sugihara eventually found a job in the trade business in Moscow, where he stayed for 16 years. However, the Sugiharas never told their story. Meanwhile, grateful survivors searched for him. Chiune believed saving one Jew would have made his experience worth the cost. However, no one found him for years. He never saw a single survivor. Sugihara retired at an old age and stayed with his family. Nearly 30 years after their first meeting, Yehoshua Nishiri, a survivor, embraced Chiune Sugihara in a tearful reunion. Afterwards, many people testified, and Israel's government finally gave Chiune the Righteous Among the Nations Award in 1985, as a thanks for the 100,000 total Jews he directly and indirectly saved.
So I think we can learn that, we need to look around the landscape and see where we can make changes. And then, when there's a moment of peril, if we can be upstanders, if we can interrupt bad behaviors and do the right thing, we can really make a huge difference.
Today, his impact lives in the thousands upon thousands of Jews who continue to change the world. He is not well known, but his influence continues to serve as a model for survivors and saviors alike. Those who Chiune indirectly saved looked to him as a role model. Those who he knew looked to him as a true hero. They believe they can learn from him. The truth is, anyone can. Chiune died the following year, but is remembered as an embodiment of kindness and sacrifice. The costs Chiune paid are far beyond what most people could even fathom losing. Chiune may have said he did what was only humanely right, but he did something not only humane, but heroic. Chiune Sugihara took a stand against his government in one of the most vicious empires of history, but he came out alive and strong. He came out unbroken because he truly believed in what he was doing. He truly believed in what was right. His moral values and feelings persuaded him to save thousands of lives and showed that even in the face of danger, he had to care about others. His generosity made him look at the beggars in the streets. His kindness prompted him to try and help. He went behind enemy lines and yanked the chains off people who no one would help. Sugihara's kindness and bravery are not just the makings of a savior. They are the makings of a hero who carried 6,000 people through one of the darkest recorded times in human history.
Chiune Sugihara, Counterfeiting History to Rewrite the Future.